What's the difference between a Broncos rally, the zombie crawl, the immigration protests in 2005, 2006, 2007, the Crusade for Justice walkouts? Those are people in the streets, but there's some very different reasons. There are different people there, and I think that those are interesting to think of. Why do people take the streets? Who takes the streets? When do they take the streets? What we try to do is we try to get people involved in different civic issues in non-boring ways. So just thank you to everyone who helped. Thank you to all of you. Let's give one more scream, and then we're going to get Los Mocochentis back out here.
We own this city, we own these streets. Spotlights take back light beams, shine right frequencies on the hype dreams. We own these things. Streets, government buildings, ambulances, instruments of police, gutters, sewers, parks, cemeteries. We own this city, we own these streets. This isn't a theory, a gimmick, a dream. Casually, this universal right speaks reality. We face casualty, over-incarceration, under-education, malnourished information. We are tired of conscious rap and dead poetry. We just want to own this city, skateboard over the throne committee, cause our antepasados built it on their backs. Timelines, skylines, tracing all our memories back to the First Nations. 5 Points Jazz and the Chicano movement chants. You are on Lakota land. We own this city, we own these streets. Chief, seeds, old trees, young beats. The next generation has come to claim its bounty. We own this city, we own these streets.
It worked for the first couple times, but then I caught it. You don't want to eat here because it's like...
Thank you. I hope you guys have a great day.
Oh, we on? Oh, you wanted me to do something? Okay, sorry, I was on my phone. This is Mo Speaks, Warm Cookies of the Revolution TV. Warm Cookies of the Revolution, taking media to trial. And we're out here today, in particular, to talk to the people about social media. Would you defend it? Would you prosecute it? Why?
Oh, that's a great question. I guess I would defend it because it's super useful in terms of getting my artwork out there, connecting with other artists, gaining, more of an appreciation for art forms that I might not get to see. But there's also that side that I would prosecute in terms of it making us more disconnected.
And it's not your grandma just being like, I don't like black people.
Yeah, I would probably defend it. I like just sharing information. But, I mean, the unfortunate thing is you can't regulate it. So what information is kind of where the line is?
Prosecute it.
Yeah, why?
It's terrible. It has completely fried our minds. It is we're not any longer looking at people. We're now just in our phones. So I would prosecute it.
I would defend it.
You would defend it?
Yeah.
In the name of?
Community and meeting people that you would never meet otherwise.
I'd probably lean more 75 prosecution, 25.
You had absolutely no hesitation. You're like,
if I could move to an island where there was no social media, no more internet, I'd be about it. I would 100% be about it.
Out here with Stevie Selby, over the odds. We're at street level asking the people about social media, and for as many friendly, beautiful people as you see on camera, there's also quite a few people who don't want anything to do with us. They don't want to be on camera, even though they're walking around looking at their black mirror the whole time. Fascinating experience. Humanity 2019. Where you want to go?
We can't communicate with other human beings. Like, human contact is such a rare thing to find. People can't have conversations, or it creates jealousy and ego and envy, and I just don't like it. So prosecute it and shut it down.
I would prosecute it. I prosecute it.
I defend it.
You defend it?
Yeah. Social media can bring about great change.
For sure. Defend!
How do you feel when your person is on their phone, on social media? Would you prosecute or would you defend social media?
So what are you going to do with this? If you could find me on social media and share it with me, that would be great.
Of civil rights organizations and the assassination of leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., JFK, and Malcolm X, a counter-revolution was planned in corporate boardrooms and think tanks. The 1980s ushered in the era of trickle-down economics, or Reaganomics. This is the idea that if you cut taxes for the rich, they will keep more of their money, invest more money into their businesses, spend more money, and therefore create more jobs. According to this theory, their wealth trickles down to the entire population, producing boundless wealth for the entire society. Anybody paying attention understands clearly that trickle-down economics was never intended to increase wealth for everyone. This economic agenda, which has remained dominant for over 30 years, was never about wealth trickling down. Instead, it was about dissolving public wealth and funneling it up the chain to the most privileged members of society. This economic model of Reaganomics is also referred to as supply-side economics, or free market capitalism. It is known as neoliberalism in Latin America and neoconservatism in the United States. These varying definitions confuse people, but this dominant global economic model relies on fairly simple principles. Major tax cuts for the wealthy, the dissolution of social programs, deregulation of business so that there are no standards or rules, no corporate responsibility to citizens. Lastly, the goal is privatization of government resources and public space. Basically, this all translates to the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. The counter-revolutionaries have been successful at redistributing wealth to the rich because they took control of the bait. They utilized resources in media, business, and technology that the bottom-up activists didn't have access to. They shaped the culture war by playing off fears of communism and socialism, and they used racism, sexism, classism, and homophobia to divide the citizenry. The counter-revolution made the economic culture war about small business versus fear of big government. The rhetoric of support for small businesses has never matched the reality of the corporate agenda. Do your research and consider skyrocketing corporate profit margins between 1980 and 2010. Compare that with very little change in the minimum wage over 30 years, and the number of decent paying jobs that have been lost in America so that profit margins could quadruple through third world sweatshop labor. What young people need to understand about the argument between government and private sector control is this. When wealth is controlled by the government, it is ultimately controlled by the people. Governments will always misuse power and resources. But that was what the Constitution and the three branches of government were for. Before being hijacked by corporate business, the setup of the US government, despite its many flaws, was designed to protect the citizenry. When the government oversees some of society's wealth, that means that the people own that wealth via the government. At least in theory, the government has the responsibility to protect the citizenry and their wealth. If a government becomes tyrannical, revolution is an option in order to restore order and return wealth back to the people. In the case of privatization, who controls the wealth? Who owns that wealth? The answer? Only those who control it. They're responsible to their shareholders. Private owners of wealth have absolutely no responsibility to you nor anyone else, not in theory nor in practice. This analysis is not a vote for socialism, nor is it a denunciation of capitalism as a whole. This is an expose on reality. What is it to be in dialogue with power, to question power, to stand amidst it, to stand with it, to rise against it? What is it to be in opposition to power, to disrespect power because it does not respect you, to disassemble it, to dismantle it, to redefine it? What is it to be in relationship with power, to tap into it, to turn it off, to turn it on, to watch it grow, to watch it surge, to play the game, to be at the table with power? What is it to build power, to name it, to claim power, to rename power, to hold power, to share power? Power building is intuitive. It is creative. It lives within us, within the radical imagination. It cannot be patented, trademarked, or branded. It is ours, braided, current, energy, wave, source. Power is agency. A journey through personal liberation, collective processing, a reawakening, building our coalitions to reflect future living, planning, strategizing, activating what is possible on the canvases of day-to-day life. It is us who are emerging, a power to recreate culture. Restorative justice. There is an unquenchable thirst for punishment in our society. Progressive communities are not immune to this desire to exile people. Where does one go when society decides they are unworthy? Where does one go when you cancel them out, when they are dead to you? Surely, it is within your right to pick and choose to whom you give your time. And some do not deserve your energy. But to what extent would you go to ruin their life in exchange for what they did to you? Or maybe they didn't even do anything to you. Maybe you think they did something to one of your friends. Or you think they violated a principle that is important to you or your identity. Maybe they failed the community in some way, or somebody told you that they did. What punishment do they deserve? The United States locks up more people per capita than any nation state in the history of the world. Over 2 million people live in cages, behind bars. There are nearly 5 million people on probation or parole. These systems are unsustainable. So is the call-out culture, the way we police our cultures, the way we throw each other away, the way we punish people, the way we are entertained by it. As we critique, deconstruct, and rebel against the systems that create so much division, we cannot look past our roles within it. Justice cannot be restored without us. The realest, truest site for social justice is in our day-to-day lives, our relationships with our families, our friends, lovers, children, co-workers, and community members. Repairing harm done can feel like magic, but it is not mystery. It may begin with words, but it looks more like action. When you have done harm, there is a road back to balance. It looks like a reverse walk back from what you have done, but it is a journey forward. Restorative justice begins with radical honesty and regular practice. Here are 5 ways that you can contribute to a culture of restorative justice. 1. Work each day on releasing self-judgment and judgment of others. 2. Encourage, demand, and practice alternative processes for addressing conflict. Punishing children in school, filing complaints on each other at work, and calling the police on community members is a last resort, not a preventative measure. 3. Practice mediation with friends, family members, colleagues, and community members. When you see conflict, you can remove yourself from the gossip and rumor mill. You can offer to be a mediator or to find a mediator to help resolve the conflict. 4. When you do harm, take authentic steps to repair the harm done. Take the apology to the place where the harm happened, with the same people or in the same space. If technology or social media were involved, then use technology to fix it. If possible, take an action beyond the apology to help repair the pain you caused. When appropriate, get consent from the person or people you harmed for any healing actions you wish to take. 5. Invest in the process of unlearning the culture of punishment. There are books you can read, classes you can take, trainings you can attend, and personal patterns that you can break. Restorative justice is not a destination. It is not an end result. It is not something that only happens in court. It is a process. It is a practice. It is personal. It is communal. It is possible to end mass incarceration. It is possible to heal.
Heal yourself, heal your soul, heal your children. Heal your heart, heal your family, heal your village. Heal your family, heal your village.